Hello, and thank you for watching this webinar all about portraying your skills and experience through your resume and cover letter. Before I get started, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Molly Anderson, and I'm currently working as an intern at the Oregon Department of Education. So I've spent the last 6 or 7 months learning, asking questions, and working on projects with the Human Resources team. And a lot of that work is focused on recruitment and learning and development, so those are areas I'm super interested in. So I was excited to write about resumes and cover letters, and I hope you're excited to learn about it. One of my biggest roles on the team is helping to build out some of our social media strategies, and a big piece of that is working on LinkedIn content. So for the past 3 or 4 months, different members of the team have written blog articles on LinkedIn. So if you want to go read more tips about finding a job or any type of professional development, I posted the link below. So I highly encourage you to go visit our page and read through the different things we've written. The topic I'm focusing on is actually based off of one of these articles that I wrote back in October. So as I'm going along, feel free to leave comments or questions below. And if you have any suggestions for future topics that you want us to talk about, then you could also give those suggestions in the comments as well. To give you some background, as a college student, I know that finding and applying for a job, whether just after college or even if you're at a point farther along in your career and you have extended experience, it can be kind of overwhelming. So this is a topic that I find to be very useful personally, just as I begin to enter the workforce and kind of navigate those waters. I think the reason this task can be daunting is simply that it can be difficult to truly showcase your talents just on a piece of paper, and at the same time, it can be difficult to know what an organization is or isn't looking for in a candidate. So it's kind of hard to match up those values if you haven't had the face-to-face interaction yet. Fortunately, there are many ways to combat these fears or challenges and make sure that you're putting your best skills and assets forward through your resume and cover letter. And there are really 5 huge benefits to making sure you create a meaningful resume and cover letter, the first of which is pretty simple. Your resume and cover letter will define you as a professional. The fact of the matter is the hiring manager won't see or interact with you until the interview process, so the resume really is you putting all of your skills and experience on paper and saying, this is what I have to bring to the table and this is how I can be a benefit to the organization. So that's really your first chance to make an impression. These statements about your professional experience are what will make you visible to a recruiter or hiring manager. If you choose not to share all of the relevant skills and abilities that you possess, the recruiter won't spend much time trying to guess what you meant or assume that you're a great fit when you didn't actually say so in your writing. So this is super important. Taking this extra time and effort in your writing is really the biggest key to you getting an interview, where you'll have the chance to actually explain in person what it is you have to bring to the table. If a hiring manager has 50 resumes in front of them and every candidate meets the minimum qualifications, just simply listing these qualifications again and your past job duties won't be enough to set you apart from the candidate next to you if you guys both possess the same minimum qualifications. Finally, having an updated resume makes it easy for you to apply for a job at any time with just a few tweaks to fit the needs of a job. If you let your resume sit stagnant for a few years or even a few months, it may be difficult to accurately remember everything you accomplished in that time frame. So writing new material becomes stressful and you can't remember the exact details. So I highly recommend keeping it updated as you go along and as you accomplish things. Before you even begin to craft your resume and cover letter, it is essential that you understand the writing style you need to have. This is based directly off of the mission and culture of the organization you're applying for. A great way to do this is by doing informational interviews or looking through the organization's website, especially if they have any kind of mission or value statement posted. That's really helpful. But in my opinion, a really foolproof way to get this information is just by analyzing the job announcement itself. The great thing about getting this information from the job announcement is that it usually will state the mission of the organization, but even more importantly, it'll state the purpose of the position you're applying for and how that fits into the larger mission. So instead of, for example, our agency benefits education, instead of just knowing that broad scope, you can also know how your specific position will further education in Oregon as well. So I highly recommend going there as your first line of defense. Another great thing is that it helps you to envision yourself in the role and let the hiring manager know how your values align with the organization's values. So they can really envision you in the role, you can envision yourself in the role, and each side can kind of see how that fit would work. It also gives you a great window to use company and industry language, not meaning that you just use vocabulary words to sound like you fit the job and like you're well versed in the technical areas that you're speaking about, but just focusing on specific skills and assets that you have in those areas and showcasing them in a professional way is really, really impressive, and it can help validate your experience and back up what you have to say. Once you have this information in the front of your mind, you're ready to define your professional experience within your resume using this lens. So the best way to explain what you have to bring to the table is by being specific about what you have accomplished. We'll look at an example of this in a minute, but using action words, real quantitative accomplishments, and specific examples shows recruiters that the claims you're making about yourself are true. Remember to only list the most relevant responsibilities, education, and experience to the position you're applying for. So unless you're like me and you don't have as much extended professional experience, recruiters kind of want to know what you've done recently and what is relevant to the job. So, for example, if you're applying for a job in accounting, a hiring manager isn't necessarily going to be super interested or intrigued by the fact that you're great at graphic design or you went to culinary school or something along those lines. So you can have great skills, but they might not necessarily apply directly to the position at that time. Finally, a hiring manager wants to see that you understand the value of your work and that you created outcomes through the work you did in the past. So they don't just want to see, I was assigned this project. They want to see, I was assigned this project, this is how I addressed it, these are my problem-solving skills, and this is what happens because of the way that I approached it. So let's look at a quick example of how you can use specific language to showcase your accomplishments. So say you have two resumes in front of you that are coming from two people who had the same job and worked on the same project. And one simply says, I increased funding to a program, which is great. But the other one says, I increased funding to the Help a Student program by 35% by developing and administrating external promotional events allowing 500 new students to be admitted to the program. It's pretty clear that the person in the second example showcased their talents in a way that emphasized their skills and the real outcomes they created and also how they addressed a certain project. Where in the first example, we're still left with questions like, what program was it, or how much did the funding increase, or even just how did you do it? So in reality, recruiters don't really have the time to stop and ask all these questions about you when vetting through hundreds of resumes. They're just going to skip right over such a general statement. Instead of just simply listing your job duties or accomplishments, describe methods and outcomes, and describe the actual impact of what you did. So how much did something increase, or what was the result of your work? Recruiters want more than just a version of your position description. They want to know what motivates you and drives you to do your best work. Now that you have a beautifully crafted, specific resume, you're ready to tackle the more personal piece, which is the cover letter. And the great thing about writing your cover letter second is that you can look back at your resume as kind of a cheat sheet. So this will help you have information at your fingertips to back up what you'll say in your letter. So say you're going to talk about your leadership skills within your cover letter, you can look back at your resume and say, well, where have I been a leader, and how can I use these skills that I have shown in past positions to back up my statement? While the resume is just a list of the skills you possess, a cover letter provides the application of those skills to the job you're applying for. So it gives you a chance to expand upon and explain what you already said. I strongly encourage you to avoid writing one stock cover letter and submitting it with multiple applications, just changing the name of the organization. A recruiter wants to see that you kind of did your homework and that you've really thought about what the mission of the organization is and analyzed how you would fit into it and what you would personally do to further that mission. And it comes across really authentic and genuine if you do it personally for each organization instead of writing one stock message. A great place to start with this is always by thoroughly answering questions posed in the job application, whether it's a question about your leadership abilities or your past experience or how you see yourself fitting into the organization. This will give you a clear window into what they're kind of looking for in that letter, and then from there you can explain what you've done in the past, but more importantly explain how you plan to use your past knowledge and skills to benefit this new position. Once you feel confident in your resume and cover letter, you just need some finishing touches and it'll be ready to go out and win you that interview. So remember to address your cover letter to a specific person if possible. This could be the hiring manager or the recruiter, but if you're unsure, you could even address it to the head of the organization or the office you're applying for. I just think that anything sounds better than to whom it may concern or to hiring manager, because it seems to come across as a stock letter again, which never really goes well. Also remember to avoid using cliche stock language such as go-getter or leader if you're not going to give ample evidence to support how you demonstrate these qualities. This isn't to say that being a go-getter and a leader is a bad thing by any means, but if you don't have the real data and the real experience to back it up, then it comes across not being genuine or just not validated information. Make sure you spend extended amount of time crafting your introduction and conclusion, because for a busy recruiter, they have to read through many of these, and these might be the only two parts of it that they remember, so you have to give them something that they'll leave remembering, especially when they go to start selecting people for interviews. Before you turn in your application, along with your resume and cover letter, make sure to read them carefully, read them again, and then have at least 1 to 2 other people read it. I know as I'm writing something, you become almost desensitized to any mistakes in there, and so it can be hard to catch small grammatical errors or spelling errors, and so it really helps to get a second set of eyes on it so you can make any corrections before you submit it, because these small errors really can reflect badly on your professional abilities and take away from the great experience that you have. So here are 6 takeaways for you to remember and keep with you, whether you're searching for a job now or you might down the road, or maybe you could share these with others. But your resume and cover letter are usually your first opportunity to make a good impression at an organization and brand yourself. Your resume provides the hiring manager with a list of your abilities, so make sure it's specific and accurate and back up your information. From there, your cover letter will give you the chance to provide a detailed look into how you'll fit into the culture of the organization. Before even beginning to craft these letters and resumes, understand the purpose of and the mission of the position and the organization. It's also important to look at how the position fits into the organization. And then keep these materials updated to A, lower your stress, and B, help you to remember everything you accomplished over the years so that you can accurately showcase your talent. And lastly, remember to back up the skills and experience you share with specific examples and outcomes. I can't say it enough. This is going to be the biggest help to you, and it'll help really show what you did in the last few years, because it's something to be proud of, and it really is the key to getting an interview. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's really great for me to share some of the things that I've learned, so I hope it was helpful to you. Again, if you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, please leave a comment below. If you want to visit our website to look at our job postings or just see what the Oregon Department of Education is all about, I posted the link below, so feel free to look around at our new website. I also posted the links for our LinkedIn and Twitter accounts below, so if you want to go read my articles or the articles of some of my team, they're shared on our company page, so you can find them there. And we're planning to do more videos down the road based on these blog posts, so stay in touch, keep checking back at our YouTube page. Thank you again for watching, and I wish you the best of luck.